Hi, this is Gina's kitchen, and as you can see, yes, I do have a cat, and I have a lovely husband who is, after 19 years of marriage-ish, we are going to show you, after having 6 children between us, what it's like to do now that you're empty nesters and you may have children visiting for the holidays. As you can see, the holidays, and we are going to play the leftovers game. And so I'm an aspiring chef, which is why I am wearing an apron that says one day I can provide advice and information to people who want to know a little bit more about what I find passion in. And one of the things is cooking, and the other thing is in my son and my family, and feeding my family. And as you can see right on my belly, it says one day. One day I'm going to do my first video, and here I am. I'm promoting my son's business, and I am very proud of him right now while I'm taking leftover French fries that come from someone who had a gyro and someone who had another sandwich. It's called the Carolina sandwich, which appears to be chicken nuggets with French fries and bacon and nice fresh bread. This one is from 2 days ago, so I want to use this one first. And what I found is that when you are trying to cook for those that you love and they have leftovers, it means that they want to save that. So then why not create that into something that's just so special, that's unique, that you know your whole family will enjoy. So knowing that I have 2 flavor palettes going on here, I'm going to start with the first one that I know that everyone will love, and that is the gyro. Both my husband, myself, my son, all enjoy having gyro meat. So what they also love is the fact that I can make a skillet, a breakfast skillet, which can be eaten. It's got a lot of protein, and this is what you want to do with leftover fries, because you're going to refry the fries like you would do a country potato. And then I have all the ingredients that I thought would go really well with the what I would call a Mediterranean skillet. So what I would want to put in a Mediterranean skillet would be eggs, and it's a 3-egg omelet, but just in a skillet form, and another 3-egg omelet for a second person. Now, while I'm trying to decide what I want to do for my husband, I am going to prepare what I know is the oldest meat and the most sustainable, and I am going to start preparing. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to continue with cutting up the leftover French fries. I'm going to get some oil on the skillet. Now, I've already determined that, lettuce and onions and tomatoes, they don't really last very long. So after careful review and someone's leftover ranch dressing, I'm still not sure about the ranch dressing, but I will tell you that with these onions and tomatoes, you want to go fresh with that. So, and I know the reason why we eat out is because you don't want to have to cut up lettuce. You don't want to have to cut up the stuff that is more perishable. So that's why we're disassembling these things, and we're creating them into something that's capable for everyone to enjoy. So as I finish cutting these, I'm looking over at all the ingredients that I have in front of me, and I'm trying to think, okay, based on the palettes of Franco, my son, one day, and myself, we have a lot of similar preferences when it comes to food. Specifically, like I said, the gyro meat. And my husband and I, we're both business owners, and we have very busy lives. And so it's nice for us to find a way where we can enjoy something together. And this is why I'm trying to do my first one-day video. Anyway, so as I cut up those potatoes, and I don't really like the look of that. I want it to look more consistent. So I had some leftover French fries, a couple French fries that someone got this morning, plus this, And then I'm going to start my oven. I just have a little bit of grease on my hands. I want to wipe off. I've washed my hands thoroughly. I'm going to start the oven, and I want to continue to saute these a little bit, but you want to get the heat up a little high. So I put it like more at a medium heat, so just to get this, get the oil. And this is, I'm doing an oil ratio to potato, and I'm trying to decide, is that enough for 2? Do I want to take, I'm going to take the chance, and you're going to see me go into the fridge because I'm going to, and I didn't clean the fridge, it's my first time. I want to take the fact that my son does love French fries, but he only likes them prepared in a specific way. So that's why I'm grabbing an additional couple of French fries, because I know he doesn't want to throw them away because he does like them. He loves potatoes. He just likes them presented in a specific way. And I just repaired my fridge, and I'm so happy I didn't have to get a brand new one because they're expensive. So while that's heating, I'm taking a look at what I've got going on here, and I'm thinking, okay, this looks like a better ratio as it relates to that. By the way, I did wipe down everything. I wiped down the refrigerator, I wiped down everything so that when I have clean hands, I know no one has been into the refrigerator, and unless they had clean hands, because as we learned with COVID and everything, it's important that, you know, we look at everyone's health and well-being, and RSV is going around. So you just want to make sure that we got everything going. So I can feel that this is heating up. This is a perfect time for us to get a gauge. I want onions, but I'm not sure about onions, so I'm gonna think about that. So what I'm gonna do, and now I'm still thinking, I might need more potatoes, and there was still a couple more in there. So sorry you have to follow me like this, but this is what it's like to cook and prepare leftovers, because you know the price of food and everything is going up, and it's just, you gotta make do. I mean, our parents always taught us to never waste something, right? And this is what is part about being successful, is being creative with the tools that you have. And again, I just want to point out that I have clean hands, clean the refrigerator, so I'm making sure there's no cross-contamination. And so then, and we're frying this. So when you're frying something, it's gonna fry off stuff, right? That's why we love deep fryers. So then as I'm eyeing up the fact that I've got 3 people here and 3 people who also like Euro meat in that, I'm wondering if this is going to be too much, or I'm just eyeing it up basing on how much eggs I want to put in there. As you can see, I have 6 eggs here. Now I have another dozen in the refrigerator, but at this point I'm trying to gauge, because this is my main meal that I want to make for the 3 of us, to see if I can stretch it out. If you can see, there's a couple of different pieces of meat that could, it's a lot of meat. I mean, I don't know if anyone eats like me, but I will tell you that that's a lot of meat. So I'm gonna just do a proportion check, and I'm gonna have to turn this heat down because it's getting too hot, because these are already cooked. So I'm gonna put these in here. And to me, when I eye it up, I could probably add a few more. And you know what? If you're gonna throw just a few pieces of fries away, don't worry about it. You've already completed your mission in the sense that, you know, you're gonna feed 3 people at this point, and they will think you made something spectacular and not even know. Sometimes, being a single mom for a long time, you know, I had to be very creative. I had a tragedy in my life, and I had to pay $4,000 a month in rent. And as a single mom, I thought that, you know, I didn't know how to make do. My husband's shaking his head because when he met me, all I had was condiments. But what do condiments do? Condiments are your friend, because when you have leftovers, even a Happy Meal, you can figure out, don't throw it away. Let me show you what you can do with this. Now, I believe that and I'm keeping an eye, by the way, on my hands from my cutting, and I'm also keeping an eye on the food, okay? So I'm thinking that's probably good enough. So then I gotta get my spatula, which normally I would have out, but I didn't actually think I was gonna be completely prepared for today. So here you just kind of saute this up. And all you really wanna do is bring back the crispness, like a country potato. I mean, I'm sure you all had a skillet, right? And personally, I don't mind eating skillet. It's got great protein. I don't mind eating skillet anytime, and this stuff gets gobbled up at my house. You know, even if I make a skillet in the morning, they will be wanting more all day long with it. So that's why I chose this for my choice for tonight. But I'm gonna turn this down a little bit, down to like a, almost not quite a simmer. It's on my stovetop, it's only 2, so it's like kind of a low. So it still can sizzle, and then I gotta, because there are 3 different types of fries. So I don't know what kind of oils and which one. So I'm trying to want to gauge what that looks like. So then at this point, what I'm gonna do is I am going to grab a fork, which I have, yay me, and I'm going to take this meat, preferably I'd like to grab all of them, because simplicity is really important. Trying to be as most efficient as you possibly can, and having children that ran around you like forever when they were younger, you start to realize, but then I'm realizing that this is too much of a risk for me to cut this thick of a meat, and it's going to be very hardier than I thought. One of the things that I love about today is, while they have been raising prices of, you know, the food products, they do give you a pretty big portion, more than they used to, I guess is what I would point out. And so what I like about this is that this can, I joke with my husband because he always says, Gina, what are you making this for, like an army or, you know, a big group? And I'm like, no, you just don't understand how much you can really make. See, now I'm beginning to understand that this will probably, as I'm watching the potatoes, and I need to think, see how they're all crisping. In my mind, I would use the rest of the potatoes. So at this point, I'm gonna do this. And why am I going for the potatoes first? Because the potatoes are coming from all different sources. You don't know, because they're coming from 3 different restaurants, and oil is different. Every oil is different. And I typically go to restaurants that I know that have clean oil. I know that sounds pathetic, but I do have high standards when it comes to food. So when I critique something, or my husband critiques something at a restaurant, he truly knows I mean business. So here we are, and I'm finishing up with the rest of the French fries because I didn't like the look of those French fries, really. They're the crinkle fries. They don't seem like they're in a quality food. Now these were 2 steak fries and more higher quality fries. So they came from a high quality oil. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick this in, and you know what? I'm gonna get the meat, because I know that these, how these are cut and what oils they are in, that I can turn this up a little bit, because it's the aroma is telling me that they're meshing, they're getting well. In fact, I'm beginning to think after I heat this up a little bit, I might have to, that's why I left my olive oil out. And we love Smart Balance. So I have this up on now on medium heat. So now I'm gonna try to get quicker here because things are all cooking and I don't have anything prepared. Now, obviously, like I said, you can't understand exactly how things are gonna cut. And in my opinion, cutting smaller pieces reduces the risk of choking, and so it also absorbs the flavor. That's why I think some restaurants have sous chefs, because sous chefs, they know exactly how the chef wants to prepare their food. But in my case, I didn't know what I was getting today. So this is what I have. Now, these potatoes that I have right now, which is always why I have a paper towel around here or behind me, are getting pretty golden. Remember, they've already been deep fried. So all you need to do is coast them until you can get to the point where you can get, now my point is to get any onion, which I'm deciding too much trouble. And those onions did not look good to me. So they already have the flavor of onion because the onion was sitting on top of the gyro meat. And so that's why you can get this all in now. I put that down at a low for a reason, so I can get this cut up. Eat your heart out, Cutthroat Kitchen. I live it every day. Elton Brown is probably going, ah, Gina. Anyway, so here we go. Again, I like mine finely chopped. I'm pretty sure there's chefs out there going, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. No. This is what happens when you had 6 children between us. You know? You gotta make do with what you have. And what I enjoy about this is that I love sharing this with my neighbors. They come over and we cook together, we laugh together, and it's more than a potluck. It's more of a, you know, well, how do you do that? Or what spice do you use? Or what do you pair that with? And our potlucks are more of, okay, do you need to use, as you can see here, I've got 2 ovens from KitchenAid. They're brand new. They're amazing. Anyways, we are not using that tonight. But I will tell you that this is now to my standards of cutting up. This is also where I'm going to determine if this is enough for 3 people, and in my family, it is. So as I am going through this, because we are also adding another protein, which is the egg. So what I'm gonna do here is goose this up a little bit so the meat gets into the potatoes. Personally, I would have added onion. I'm still going back and forth in my mind, but I don't like that onion. So I am hoping that the flavor will seep in from because it was overnight. All right, so I think I've determined I'm not really sure what I want to do with and I'm just gonna wash my hands really quick because I touched all that grease. So that should suffice. Probably need some nicer towels. So I've determined that I'm not exactly sure what I want to do yet, if anything, today with the pita bread. It might just be a casualty. Although now, as I'm in here, there is another onion, and I'm gonna, I'm still not worried. I don't know about that one. So here I am. I'm gonna cut up a little bit of feta. It was really good feta. I love feta, and it's one of the best cheeses if you're trying to, you know, cut down on cheese and everything, and salt. but I also have the tomato basil feta, and I love it because you can just shake it like this. Now, it's not ready for cheese, so that's why I brought out a thing here, because I wanted to determine how much feta is going to go with this dish. I want to do this a little stir, make sure I don't get anything on fire. A little stir here. It's browning nice. I'm doing, in my mind right now, I'm looking to see, do I want to add onion? Everyone loves onions here, so I'm still thinking I might put this down a little bit lower, because all I'm trying to do is get the flavors into the potatoes with the meat, which that's when you have a gyro, they're two separate things. And here I want to make sure I'm doing a hair check. So what I'm going to grab here is I'm going to grab a tomato. We keep our tomatoes on, it's winter, so we keep our tomatoes, and see this one is turning a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to wash it off, which is good. And I personally like to use paper towels. Paper towels work great. Now, I don't know about those, shows and whatnot, but, they got the fancy stuff, and, this is reality, So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, I'm going to examine it, smell it, I'm going to decide, okay, so I'm going to decide that that's not good enough for there. So I'm going to rinse my tomato again in the knife, make sure there's no mold on it. Now, people will say, there's some molds that are good for you, but I'm just going to wipe it off. Why I wipe it off and why do I use a knife like this? It's easier for me, personally. That's why chefs have their same tools that they like to work with, because they're familiar with them. And these are the ones that I'm familiar with. I have found that when you cut a tomato, now we love tomatoes here, so not everyone loves tomatoes, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dice these. And always be patient and with yourself. I know these cooking shows, they will always sometimes look away, and it's not that I don't want to give eye contact, it's just that I don't want to cut my finger. Now, I was never formally trained how to cook, so I am just a cook that loves her family. So now this is too slippery, so when I say slippery, it's just slippery on my fingers, so I'm being careful. When you have that many children between the two of you, distractions always happen. All right, so this to me right now is where I'm gonna set this on a separate plate, because I'm not sure if I'm done cutting it. And I know how to cut on a plate, because I don't really like washing the boards. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a quick ratio, and the tomatoes are good. I don't think I have, if I want to have more tomatoes and I want it to look a little bit more fresh, I will. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to slide my tomatoes over, because at some point, at some point, I'm just going to add them right into the dish, but I want to grab what I have in basil. Now, if I was smart enough, I would have had myself. Now, the basil's looking a little, should have used it sooner. Basil's really good for you, by the way. It's full of vitamin K, which your body needs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this basil, assess it, make sure it doesn't have any of that sliminess stuff on there. So I'm going to quick rinse it. I'm sorry if this is long, but I just want you guys to understand how much love that goes into this. Okay. So I like to use paper towels just to get that moisture off. And then I should really have paper towels just here, but I just don't want the factor of the stovetop or anyone having that near a fire. So as you can see, I've reserved some of this, I can't say the word, tzatziki sauce. And so I reserved some of that in case someone wants that. My son is a big fan of, he's a big fan of sour cream, and it's a sour cream component. So one of the things I have found why people love fresh herbs is that they're dry and easy to work with, which is why I use a paper towel, because I don't want to cut my finger. And nor, I'm pretty sure, deal with any kind of thing like that. So I completely pat dry these things so that they work. And right now I will show you a distraction that might happen when you're trying to prepare leftovers, but at this point they might be camera shy. Although, as I mentioned, I'm wearing my one-day apron because my son is an aspiring musician, and you can find him on Tangent TVM. Franco, don't be shy, say hello.
Hello.
Okay, you want to come in? So I am doing a video on what I do to prepare a nice meal with leftovers. And you love gyro meat, right?
Who doesn't?
And I'm taking what I have in my refrigerator and I'm using the tools that I have to prepare a skillet. Don't you love skillet?
Right.
Does everyone in the household love skillet?
We are big fans.
Okay, so, and I'm a big fan of you and your first day and your first debut of your first song. So I'm just going to continue finishing up with making us some dinner that we can enjoy. Thank you for saying hello. That's my son. Thank you. You might have to do stars after each one of these things so that people can understand how passionate I am about cooking. Anyways, I feel pretty prepared at this point. So what I'm going to do is because I didn't know, he left the refrigerator. See what I'm saying? Distraction. All right, now, sorry, I don't wash my hands really. But anyway, so because I want to get a different fork. Now I like to use a salad fork when I whisk eggs because it's easier, and I know better how to handle it. Now, one of the things I will tell you, I'm not really good at cracking eggs, so I have to always look out for shell. Now, our neighbors across the way, they get fresh eggs, so we always try to save their egg cartons. So this is how I used to do this, but I'm actually now reconsidering just doing this so I don't have to do too much cleanup on when I decide that they need these cartons and it's reusable, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking leftovers and making them special. Now sometimes, see, this is a new thing for me, so I'm learning. Sometimes, because they're going to become scrambled eggs anyway. See, now I got, not like that. Trying to get the breadcrumbs on, or the egg shells, and how I do that is I just take the end of a paper towel, or I somehow just say, hey, I broke an egg in there. If you find something crunchy, it's mixed with all that other stuff. It's not bad for you. I don't think eggshells are bad for you if they help us grow our gardens. You should see the looks I'm getting from my husband. Wait till he sees that this is important. Okay. So then I take my egg carton back. I will later reuse that for someone else. And here I go, and I'm going to whisk my eggs. I'm going to turn up my heat. I had egg wash on the back of there. So, you know, I just had it cleaned. Anyway, so I'm gonna mix my egg wash. Now, this doesn't look much like enough eggs to me, but I'm gonna put this in here, and I wanna make sure I have all the ingredients that I want to make what I would consider a Greek skillet. So I wanna goose up, I wanna goose up the heat. And I'm thinking, I've got the feta cheese, but everyone likes melted cheese. So now I'm going in, thinking in the inventory in my refrigerator, and I'm thinking, I can always add cheese, or people can always add cheese, and then I can, you know, put it on the skillet itself. Because everyone likes spice and whatever, but this is more Mediterranean, so I think I'm sticking with my gut and going with this. So now that this is goosed up, I need to goose it up a little bit more, just so I can get a handle on. So these are nice and golden brown. It's exactly how I would cook it if I was making my skillet at home. So then at this point, I'm just taking the size up on the meat. The meat is actually having that extra effect where I didn't use too much oil here. So you can see in the pan that the oil isn't that much. So I am going to goose this up to the medium-high heat. And I'm gonna hear and listen. Because this is a dinner meal, I don't want to put too much eggs in it to make it taste like a breakfast thing. That's what I'm, you know, and then I'm trying to do a protein ratio. With eggs are protein, and then the meat is protein. So I'm trying to get a feel of what I believe my family and their nutritional needs and what their portion size are to really make this pop. Okay, so here we go. It's sizzling nice on a medium-high heat, and then I accidentally put it up a little higher on accident. Happens in the kitchen. I am going to add the egg wash. I like using a spatula because it is a skillet, and spatulas are a really great tool. Obviously it's non-stick. Now I know my family, and they love their pepper. So I love these ones because you don't have to use it has a light, you can gauge how much pepper you know each one's gonna like. They just like a hint of pepper, and then everybody has the option to put more in for those who are pepper lovers. So anyway, I have some things where they want me to limit my salt. So that's why you always have salt and pepper as an option for people, because you never know what their nutritional needs are about. But when you're a mom, you know who's gluten-free, who's dairy-free. And you could use these with egg beaters or egg whites. If you're dairy-free, I'm sure there's an option, but we haven't really had many here living as dairy-free. We do live in the cheese state. That's why I always think that people always have that option for kids to have. So all I'm trying to do here right now is I'm trying to make sure that none of the eggs have the gooey whiteness, because I want to thoroughly cook the eggs, because they're a little bit older eggs. Not that they're expired or anything, not in that perspective, but you know, this is a challenge about what do you have on hand, and you know, my family loves eggs, so yeah, hence why we also save the egg cartons. All right, so now that the eggs don't look as translucent, because remember, I'm gonna put in some feta cheese here, and then I'm gonna gauge, because to me this looks like 3 great portions, 3 great night portions. for all of us to have. And I'm still, while in my head, I'm considering, what would that taste like? What would that pita taste like fried in the oils of what the skillet was in? There's many things you can do with pitas though, to preserve them, which would be frying them, especially with like some nice herbs, you know, like an Italian blend or a Mediterranean blend. Okay, so this looks like it's coming together here. We're getting close to the end. So I'm gonna turn this down a little bit, and I'm gonna see how each cheese, remember we have the fresh cheese, and I'm gonna decide, because this is cooking so nicely, I want to, the last thing I want to put in is the fresh herbs. And because I kind of have limited herbs, I just want to show you that for me, cutting things a little bit smaller, especially in this one, we're not using any additional cheese, is to make sure that this is going to set in. So we're getting close to the end. So I have this down at a low heat. I'm just going to see how things, and this is looking like a really nice skillet, like something I completely planned, right? So then what I do is I add a little bit of the feta cheese. Now, in a gyro, the feta cheese comes on top, but I've always wanted to know what it's like to have it kind of melted in. I mean, I don't know if feta has just gotten a bad rap or what. I love feta, and it does taste better sometimes fresh, which is why I'm trying to melt this other stuff in, because this is the fresh stuff. And now in retrospect, I would probably put the fresh stuff on top, but still, this is pretty new feta as well. We just bought it. So then I'm at this point where I'm realizing, okay, when you make an omelet, people always ask, and you always put the fresh stuff in last. So I've already decided I'm going to take this feta that I have, and I'm going to put it in the skillet. This is, again, the tomato is a tomato basil, because I want fresh herbs, but it's what I have, you know, so this is what I got. This is 3 portions. This is why I said this feta won't go bad here. But this makes it that Greek element. It's a Greek flavored tomato and basil feta. Okay, so this is going really good. So I'm gonna turn it on a very, very low, because I want that freshness of the feta cheese. But remember what I was saying with freshness, and I'm gonna put the tomatoes in, and I'm going to decide whether or not I want more. And that answer was yes, and I think I had the idea of that. So I'm just gonna cut up and a little more tomato. And you know, tomatoes are weird because some are juicy, some are not. These were meant for, these are vine ripe, and these were really meant for salsa to be finely meshed up. So I'm trying to cut them as quickly as possible because I know everyone's hungry. And so, because my husband's trying to eat that. So anyways, I am going to take the rest of this basil that I have, and I am going to be almost done with my meal here. And it looks beautiful and presentable. And at this point, what I've decided is I am going to take a little bit of whatever mozzarella Italian blend, if I have my pecorino out here. But let me get me whatever I got in my cheese jar here. We are going to do today, we are going to do a little quesadilla cheese. It's a soft cheese, and it will melt a little bit and make it a nice golden. First you gotta smell, figure out, this is just a little cheese. And obviously I'm saying the word cheese, so my cat is, don't Move. Zinnia. Anyway, she'll be busy with that. So this is my meal. This is my, I always put it on the floor for her and when she hears the bag. Anyways, this is my meal, but I don't want her to get close to this food. Zinnia, come over here. We'll let her maw on that, but bon appetit. This was Gina's kitchen, and this was my first time showing you what I do with leftovers. Thank you. Happy